red side here, giving blue side back over. And with Aimee actually banning Kog'Maw, it's time to see something new.
You have to wonder what Aimee are going to be picking as their first rotation, and it does seem to be that Fizz. Kog'Maw banned from them, though, with a higher priority on the Fizz, is entirely justified based off what happened to AmazingJ in the 1v1. In the last game where Aimee actually beat them, it was pretty much a 1v3, where they spent the entire time keeping Xiyang down, preventing him from being a Fizz, preventing him from 1v1ing, and he became irrelevant very quickly.
Yeah, and now we get to see a new strategy from Aimee and answering back against OMG, hoping to take the series even further. And you can see OMG are looking a little bit unprepared, as that Kog'Maw ban might have caught them off guard, and now suddenly the first Fizz pick. We know Xiyang has got a huge pool of champions, but with that Fizz taken away and the Shen banned up, we'll have to see something a little bit lower down the tier. And now that means OMG get to target Jinjao's AD carries with that Ashe.
Now, there is no Camille banned this time around. It was banned from AmazingJ, but he's already got the Fizz. The question to me is, do they flex the Fizz? Athena has played it in the middle lane once already, and they bodied people when Athena was playing it. So if they want a Camille, they can save it for their last rotation, pick their bottom lane now and flex it. I'm curious to see where they go, because they might even just force a ban from OMG and give Aimee a free pick.
Yeah, they certainly could right here. They are still going to prioritize that Elise for Ben 4. Varus now locked in for Jinjao in the bottom lane, so he gets to follow that performance that he showed us a few weeks ago. And OMG, how do they decide to pick this out? Focus on top lane, mid lane, support.
Pick your support now, you would have to imagine. You can go for a Nami for sustain if they want to get, and 5 was okay. Or they can change things up. This isn't changing things up. They can change things up in, there we go. Pick a flex.
Yeah, so the Karma now locked in. As you said, that can be flex. We know Icon great at those split pushing champions, but perhaps putting on a caster like Karma, someone necessary to support the team, might sort of temper the emotions that we saw in game number 1.
You'd expect that's like a 1%er though from OMG.
Yeah.
It's only like if bottom lane is desperately losing, we need to flex the Karma mid stat. Icon's not usually the person who'll actually pick that up for himself.
So far, he's played it once in the LPL 2017 Spring Split, so statistically unlikely, though definitely possible.
And I think given the Malzahar ban, it does indicate, once again, that 5 will be the person playing the Karma. They deny it from Athena. That's the only other big thing you can take away from this at the moment, is they can ban supports. They can now keep it at just the Malzahar ban and get rid of a mid laner if they'd like, or potentially something to deny from their opponents.
Looking towards the next ban for OMG. There's still the likes of Lulu, Nami, Thresh available, and they decide instead to target out Kled, assuming that Fizz is going mid towards AmazingJ.
So they don't know. They just don't know where it's going to be. And they'll find out now for what it's worth after these bans come through and we get to see Aimee pick. But OMG have to pick a role first. And whether they want that to be top lane, assuming that it's going to be a Fizz top, or they ban the Kled, preventing him from being countered, is there something that loses to Kled is the question.
Yeah. Perhaps OMG caught a little unsuspecting by this very interesting change-up from Aimee. This is the first game in 6 that they have not prioritized their bottom lane that early on. So we are seeing something new from Aimee. Looks like it is going to be Gragas locked in for Xiyang up top, so saving that counter pick for Icon. Effectively saying, we don't know where this is going.
Yeah, the Gragas is a fine pick into Fizz more often than not. We've seen this champion chosen alongside the Shen, you know, can body slam him out of the combos and try and deny the worst part of the trade against Fizz, which is the 2-second mark beyond when you're actually trading against him. So Gragas is okay. They've got themselves now a tank in the top lane. That's expected. The Xiyang, known for his tank play above all else.
Now that Taliyah has been locked into the mid lane, you know that it is going to be Fizz up top into that Gragas. And
yeah, get it in there.
Yeah, do it again, Road.
Lock it in, Eddie.
He was getting some really great hooks in game number 1. Perhaps he can continue here in game number 2, but that means we'll look at the final pick for OMG. Icon gets the chance to counter pick into that Taliyah.
They have a bit of a harder time if they do look in the Thresh against an Ashe Karma. Just more slowing and speeding up available from the side of OMG. Maybe dodge their way around these hooks. A bit more mobility and anti-mobility to be seen. However, the Thresh, he was an MVP performer. It should be, frankly, banned away from him over the likes of the Malzahar. And especially the Kled ban, when you know that the Fizz should be the top laner.
Seems like OMG perhaps a little unprepared here in game number 2. They're going to have to demonstrate some mental resilience as they reset. Cassiopeia is the final lock-in for Icon. He was perhaps the most volatile player of OMG in game number 1. Now it's time to see if he can bring it back with our compositions locked in.
You have to feel like Cassiopeia and Syndra are the closest things that Icon wants to be to a control mage, because you can effectively be an assassin whilst being a control mage all the same. You know, you've got a lot of outplay, high skill ceiling champions. Should be perfectly fine in this middle lane. Curious to see if he commits to having the cleanse though against the Taliyah. They have a Thresh, they have an Elise, and they have a Varus, so the cleanse will be very good outside of laning phase and avoiding ganks. But now there's a lot more volatility in this middle lane, especially in that 1v1, both just running cleanse.
You can see the coaches shaking hands as they run on back, but as you said, it will be a volatile lane. It's going to be a volatile match in general, as OMG are looking to run this back. They're currently 1 game down despite being the higher seed in this tournament bracket. And IMA, perhaps the run towards the top of playoffs will continue, barely eking in at the last second by winning against RNG, the #1 team in their group, taking a win against Gu, the #3 team who was able to take wins off of both WE and EDG, and now playing up against OMG. It's time to start changing the conversation from the little train that could to the little train that is, in fact, doing.
Yeah, but they've still got 2 more wins to get in this one before they're doing anything, Dom, or they'll be out of the running entirely. Because right now, I may have started on the right foot. They've got the momentum. I feel like they drafted well in this game. OMG definitely did not know where they were going, what they were doing, or how they were going to execute on the drafting phase. So they've got that. Pretty stock standard, however, from IMA, just a pick composition. You've got your Taliyah that complements the rest. You know, the Fizz to knock them up, Taliyah to knock them to the side towards your team, Thresh, Varus, Elise. All about finding that single target and taking that target out. But against the Gragas, against Cleanse, against Karma, even Lee Sin with the kick away, it's not always going to be just that simple.
Well, have to see if OMG can see this coming and play around it. They've certainly got the setup to make it through. And Smlz, we know he's an excellent AD carry. On that Ashe, he has a chance to have a huge impact if he can land some picks, or land some arrows and turn around the picks from IMA. As we have loaded onto the Rift, and you can hear the audience.
The audience has been around for quite a while. They endured the pause with all of you guys at home and us. They're still there, they're still loud, still energized.
I think the thing that is so amazing is that we're hearing the crowd chants in game number 2. We almost never do. It's almost always that we hear them for one team in game 1, then the other team in game 1, and then they let the series play out. But the OMG fans may be getting a little nervous.
I see you haven't casted many EDG sets, Dom. You wait until they play in the next set of the today.
Oh, yeah. The next set of the today? Yeah, we'll do.
Don't you try and England me.
It's been a long day here on the LPL desk, and we're only getting into game number 2. As we're already starting to get some wacky English. Taking a look at the junglers, they're both starting topside with Elise. Again, World 6 back on that Lee Sin, Ben 4 back on that Elise. But it is AmazingJ on Fizz up top instead of Xiyang.
Absolutely. So they've swapped the Fizz around, I guess, in the top lane. It's also one of those beautiful flexes that IMA had for themselves. But instead of having the Fizz mid lane where Athena was so successful with it, they chose for the Taliyah. Again, one of those champions that excels at lane control, being able to take out the minions, even nerfed, still does a pretty good job, I think it's safe to say, at controlling the minion wave, but it's more so the ability to roam around the map. Currently the LPL's Twisted Fate is Taliyah. And all of the LPL mid lane is a Twisted Fate main, so it makes sense that they'll play the competitive version of Twisted Fate.
Yeah, not only does she move quickly towards the other side of the map, she also eliminates escape routes and sets up really favorable terrain if she can set it up properly, and that's where we really hope to see the excellent play. As World 6 will finish off his own double buff. We've got double buff finished for Ben 4. The junglers are set to meet in the river. Ben 4 gets a ward. Cocoon actually still lands. He gets the initial burst of damage. Repel follows through. He's got red buff ticking out. Athena is keeping Icon occupied and gets a favorable trade.
Yeah, definitely a lot of damage coming out of the Elise in particular. World 6 had spotted the Elise, but actually still gets hit by the Cocoon after a walk-up place. So the jump was there for the Lee Sin. The reaction from Ben 4 wasn't even lightning quick. He wasn't breaking any records. He's not Wild Turtle flashing ultimates. But he still just out-trades the Elise in and forces him back. A little bit confusing.
Yeah, and here you can see the punishment from Ben 4. He heads over to the Gromp to steal that away. World 6 will clear this blast cone, make his way top to find AmazingJ, who will just walk back from the minion wave, though it is pushed up.
AmazingJ had 2 wards actually placed. So one in Tribush, one just in the river that has died as we speak. Ben 4, World 6, and Ben 4.
Flash play. He's caught 5. Ben 4 needs to follow up. Doesn't get the cocoon, but gets some burst damage with Ignite burning down. 5 walks away with his life.
Those minions are MVP. I would love to just watch the minions and how much they hated Ben 4 in particular. Screw this one spider in particular. There was no way to hit the cocoon. They actually, like, Ben 4 moved to the right, the minions moved to the right. And they're like, screw you, man. Not gonna happen.
Oh, he brings him back. Flash cocoon, he's caught 5! The hook pulls him back along with an arrow. First blood for Ben 4.
No minions, no problem. That's all I'm saying. Ben 4 actually hits the cocoon, but that's the team composition out of IMA. Just so much pick available, especially through this bottom lane. Really do appreciate that they were focusing this lane in particular, making sure they're down where their strengths are. Not just Jinjao, but also the team comp.
Investing in that composition. Varus will come online later on as the game goes. Meanwhile, World 6 has finished off his own top side of the jungle. No invade from him. Looking at the jungle CS, you're like, oh, 22-7. Things are great for World 6. He's even in experience. He's likely even in gold, as that jungle farm is probably about worth that kill, but definitely not first blood, as we've got Tracker's Knife and an Amp Tome finished up for Ben 4, and just Tracker's Knife for World 6 as they head back out onto the map. 5, without any summoners, immediately starts trying to clear out the vision that Ben 4 and Road had set up.
World 6 will still be okay, but that's the difference between these junglers anyway, is that the Lee Sin is happy to just farm up to level 6. The Elise can gank earlier.
Ooh, gets to the Scryer's Bloom to make his way out, and Ben Road is waiting just outside of vision.
They spot that the Krugs are alive by placing down the Scryers. Thankfully, Road nearby, obviously, to help with the vision levels up from the ward take. This is timed well from IMA, being able to come around, place their vision down just before the minions crash to the turret, knowing that Road will be here to save him, and Ben 4 has been spotted nearby. This means that Smlz and OMG can't harass him. So the timing was honestly still good from IMA.
They're able to get all of those minions onto Jinjao despite the harass from Smlz. He completes his own first recall. Boots and a Vamp Scepter. He will be going for that standard build Water Cutlass, and despite Jinjao's early recall, he's going for a Vamp Scepter and the Longsword. No finished Cutlass, as Road will take a little bit of harass from 5 as he makes his way back into the lane. There's so much vision priority on this bottom side of the map. Once again, top is a complete island. No wards, no interaction whatsoever outside of those 2 top laners.
The funniest part about this is with all the pressure on vision on the bottom side of the map, there is none.
Yeah.
It's all around mid lane right now because everybody's killing each other's wards. So there's just no vision actually applicable or around. But it's all about who can bring their team members to the lane or to the river to place the vision more efficiently. Like Athena being there means that the control ward dies. The World 6 was just moving with 5, which meant vision died before that. And it's this rinse and repeat, this ebb and flow of setting up the vision and then knocking down the vision with allies.
With that vision traded back and forth, that means Athena's allowed to clear out these minions. Icon again opening up a CS advantage in the mid lane on this Cassiopeia. But he's going to have to do more than get gold.
The fact that IMA haven't broken the pace of this game to whatever they would prefer. They haven't sent 3 top lane. Only their bottom lane's winning. This actually bodes well for OMG. Not just because the bottom lane is losing, but because their top and mid lanes are winning, respectively. So having an Ashe, having a Karma, always going to be utility focused either way. They'll be fine, and they're not losing drastically. It's just that Ben 4 was down there. As far as the state of the game is concerned, OMG waiting for that level 6 on their jungler, perhaps, then they can look to make the play.
We can see World 6 rushing through his jungle. He's so close, but yet so far. Xiyang ticks over level 7 with a large minion wave. AmazingJ actually did miss a wave, so this is not going to be enough to get him level 7. And we'll have to catch these minions as they crash into the turret. You can see he's going for a tankier route with that Null Magic Mantle. And Ben 4 actually is making his way up top. They might just try to break this the old-fashioned way. Or just perhaps keep AmazingJ safe so we can catch the minion wave.
Yeah, good ward placed from Xiyang in advance, actually spots him. Xiyang didn't leave the lane whilst pushing, was trying to bully AmazingJ out, so the assumption was there from IMA that there was actually no ward in the bush, that he was just playing a little bit too up. However, ward's placed, the man's safer than you would otherwise believe, And I may waste a little bit of time because that side of the jungle was already cleared out by World 6.
Yeah. And blue buff now passed over to Athena as Ben 4 heads back towards the bottom. World 6, you can see, is doing the same as he gives it over to Icon. He's got his own level 6 and is rather high health with red buff. And with the bottom lane of Aimee and Jinjao,
they might go straight to the red.
In.
Or they're going onto the Ocean Drake. Again, an objective is always going to be a possibility for them. They have committed? What? Okay, commit. This Drake does a lot of damage to the record. So after doing this, you'd expect World 6 has to recall.
They've got level 6 on Smlz, so they feel like they can fight if he lands an arrow. But as you said, World 6 taking a lot of damage. Is able to do enough damage back. Doesn't even use his smite. Used it early to clear out his Grom, so that he can take that first dragon. Yeah,
and a 9-minute Ocean Drake's going to be super handy, especially for the supports and junglers running around on Summoner's Rift extended periods of time without actually being in combat. Always a positive for them. So you'll be happy if you're OMG, at least for 5 in World 6.
Yeah. As they are now making their way around the map just a little more. Recall again canceled by Icon. He's fully topped off, but he's got 98 gold with only a tier. This man is sitting on so much gold in his inventory right now.
Yeah, he hasn't invested a lot of money into his items just yet, but he's 20 CS ahead of Athena, so he's still going to be happy. You know, forced to stay around another wave, so be it. It's unfortunate, but it means he's still getting a little bit further ahead.
Catching all of these minions, sidestepping the Taliyah damage. Missed that one.
He's probably going to stay for another wave and try and hard push it in, but because Athena has complete lane control, really hard to do. However, with all of the worked ground now mostly around, it is a bit easier to poke your way in.
There he goes. Starting to clear out that minion wave. You can see junglers are on that side of the map, and 4 in road, secure Scuttle Crab, and set up before World 6. The hook pulls him in as he ward hops forward. Flash on top of the box to sidestep a play, but he's burning down. A kick is not enough, and somehow Athena gets in time to get the execution.
That was rather confusing. We feel like obviously with the ward hop forwards, he wanted to gank in some way or wanted to be the person initiating it by dodging the hook. But at the same time, he's lucky that Ben 4 just didn't have his cocoon up because he used it on Gromp. The Scuttle Crab, rather. Like, lucky that that wasn't the case. So he tries to flash out to safety, realizes that he flashed on top of the Thresh box and was slowed too much, so committed to his death anyway. But also used his ult and used his flash throughout this. Big mistake.
We see a dive from Aimee building right now. Athena has got the Weaver's Wall, sets it up,
and
Smlz flashes way too soon. Road reads that flash and locks him down. They get that kill. Meanwhile, AmazingJ looking for a kill onto Xiyang. He flashed already and has more than enough damage. AmazingJ solo kills him, and the cask gets him to safety.
Xiyang gives him a free escape. So Aimee now 2-0-1 in the jungle. This is all being set up by Road, and a solo kill breaks out top lane. That's inexcusable. It's happening again. Hooks on.
Another chain of corruption. There's a great petrifying gaze, but Repel just resets it. World 6 now dies as Ben 4 drops onto the lantern and slides back out.
Man, Icons and Elo hell the way this game's starting to play out at the moment. There was an advantage in the top lane, but that advantage is now completely gone as AmazingJ is able to kill Xiyang. He's teleporting.
Cancels it.
Talk about greedy, though. He tried to clear the minion wave, tank the minion wave, and teleport simultaneously with the Q charging. Of course, if AmazingJ is nearby, you're going to die.
Yeah, and you can see how that CS advantage is now working out for AmazingJ, that he's been able to get that. And AmazingJ still has got his teleport. So all in all, a huge setup from Aimee as the top laner is able to collapse onto Xiyang. Again, that communication for Aimee. We talk about it time and time again. AmazingJ, the shot caller, but we're also seeing Ben 4 and Road really pop off in their own right.
And for what it's worth, Xiyang was expecting either a teleport or a recall out of AmazingJ. There's a reason that he was
in the brush,
tanking the wave, and AmazingJ was invisible throughout all of that time. So it was still well done from the Fizz to be in the right place at the right time to secure the kill. But it's still the kind of mistake that you can't afford to make. Even if that's considered cheese, getting cheesed in a pro game just feels worse than normal.
Especially in the semifinals for playoffs, or excuse me, quarterfinals for playoffs. There are 6 teams currently fighting for 1 spot to go to MSI, and play like that will not be tolerated at the higher levels though IMA are certainly already making a name for themselves in setting up that quick execution. Meanwhile, Icon, as you said, he might be in elo hell. He's finally been able to convert some gold into stats as he's got a Pistol Scepter and is trading back, but with the presence Athena's got in lane, Ben4 and Road can keep harassing bottom, fight for the vision, keep Smlz scared.
Yeah, they can. And the question for me, though, if you're looking at OMG, is how do they actually get themselves back into a position of power? So obviously the Abyssal is going to keep him alive. Maybe not the best first item, but the Negatron helps.
Yeah. Magic resist. Athena's now even fighting over blue buff. Ben4 is there too. They leash blue, and it resets. Smlz sitting under turret.
Look how slow it is.
Yeah.
Speed up.
He's taking his time. Blue buff now going to be passed over towards Athena as he drops the word ground and finishes it off. Recall from Icon as he now gets an amp tome as well. And we're just seeing huge advantages just about all across the board except for that mid lane. Athena's working towards his Morelos. Blade of the Ruin King finished for Jinjao versus a Cutlass. Now Blade of the Ruin King finished off.
Yeah. Bottom lane is still good for IMA. That's the area where you're expecting them to dive. The turret standing is ultimately the reason for that. So you will notice that every single time Athena leaves lane, he's on the bottom side of the lane. Always sitting on the bottom side of the lane. Icon pinging that he's gone. Could be diving bottom. There's no way for him to know where the Taliyah is gone. And so you have to assume that. So World 6 has to be around here, at least to help with vision control. And IMA are literally on the opposite side of the map right now, farming.
Ben4 prepping blue buff for his mid laner, actually taking it for himself, never mind, and pinging top. They might try to set up a dive. Sheen onto AmazingJ. He goes in, gets bopped once, doesn't quite get to proc his
That's why Gragas is meant to be good into this matchup. Of course, the one death from Xiyang was caught unaware, so free damage was always going to be available if the fish hits. But you can body slam, you can prevent the full damage combo coming out of the Fizz passive. Yeah,
AmazingJ is actually chunked to half trying to prep this wave for the eventual dive. Xiyang has got a lot of AoE though, and they decide to call it quits instead. Ben4 heads back towards his own side of the jungle after stealing away those Krugs.
So Xiyang does get back to a position of power, or at least lane control for himself. You have to give him that. He's going to be a super tanky member of the team. They're going towards Spirit Visage as his first item. Maybe Balmy Cinder before it, but at the end of the day, the Gragas is fine. OMG, they've been spotted.
Yeah, and the vision set up by Ben4 is actually going to keep AmazingJ safe. I mean, not only is he on Fizz, but he's also got vision to keep him up.
It's not just keeping AmazingJ safe, it's letting IMA decide where they want to go, right? They saw a Karma. So obviously the Ashe who has recalled is going to be going towards top lane. This is what they actually get for free. Jinjao hard push the lane, Road work with him. They'll get the turret first, and they can choose. Do we want to actually get the free Drake on top of this turret that we're going to take for ourselves? Or do we early recall? Is there enough time to defend the top lane turret? They can work it out as they go.
Perhaps they're looking now to continue pushing. They're going to have to be up against Gragas as the first turret does go over to Jinjao and Road. Very healthy to see them get that gold. And with Ben4 now pressing mid along with Athena, there's a lot of wave clear on Cassiopeia, but here comes Road, and here comes Jinjao just behind him. They're going to zone him off of the turret and try to make it a 2-1-2 turret trade. The hook lands and cleanse is used. Icon sidesteps, but the turret is defended.
Yeah, the cleanse was necessary just because Road hit the hook. If the cleanse wasn't used, he was dead to the Taliyah. You could see the seismic shove coming out. That's the combo that I may have put together for themselves. Really good at sieging with this comp, because if someone gets caught by crowd control, that person will die 100%. So QSS might be a necessary feature, but IMA, exactly what you expect comes out of them. They respond to OMG lane swapping better than OMG did.
Dragon is now finished off as I may take yet another advantage. 3,500 gold ahead at the 17-minute mark. Slowly but surely, they're eking out these advantages, and suddenly the strong bottom lane from Smlz in 5 finds himself 20 CS and a kill down. As Jinjao is getting larger and larger, he's finished off Zeal and a Quicksilver Sash. So things are looking very good for them. 5 kills to 0, and OMG, this is not the OMG we saw in game number 1. This is an OMG we saw even in the remade game number 1.
No, this is just not OMG, but IMA are definitely in their comfort zone right now. Good series team playing with momentum. Rhodes definitely calibrated most of his hooks as well, which helps a lot, especially in those sieging environments. The QSS that you mentioned as well, actually, out of Jinjao, pretty much makes him a frontliner. He's able to play up. Ashe Arrow is not going to be a problem. Flash, Petrify, and Gaze can be countered now by the QSS or the cleanse even out of Athena. Like, they're good to go. They're set.
They're trying to force a fight right here, but a good zone control from Athena as he unravels the earth. Keeps Icon and World 6 back. Jinjao pushes a wave bottom and then groups up, and so too does AmazingJ. They could look to finish off the job they started earlier.
They definitely should look towards this. Remember, if Athena goes to a flank, he's able to use the ultimate and zone them all off the turret. That could be something they look towards doing. But as it stands, they're actually looking to generate a pick before the objective.
Flash from Ben4 as he tries to get away. AmazingJ getting a good trade onto Xiyang. Cask keeps him safe, and the hook will miss as he flashes to safety. But there's a lot of ultimates burned, and with Xiyang gone from the fight and with no teleport, that's Athena and the rest of IMA swapping mid.
Look at the pressure that they're able to put down on this turret. If Jinjao gets the hits on it, 100% dying. The fact that Xiyang has no flash anymore because he had to dodge the Thresh hook means that the engage from OMG is now lacking. It is an Ashe arrow, but the Ashe arrow has two members that are going to be able to cleanse or QSS it off.
They've got a massive minion wave bottom, and with Athena with blue buff, level 2 Weaver as well, he can push in that minion wave and try to collapse, or perhaps even try to get them off of the turret entirely. There's the Weaver's wall, and they are now setting up. Miasma's not going to do anywhere near enough to clear this out. Jinjao goes through a huge petrifying gaze. They've caught Ben4. Jinjao kites it back and kills Icon in the meanwhile. The minion wave has been cleared and the turret is saved, but that is a 1-for-1 trade.
Unfortunately, they have to go over the Weaver's wall to do this. So Icon goes in, flash ultis, QSS cleanse immediately used by the two carries. They run away. Smlz has to use both summoners to try and get over that wall, navigate his way through the fight and trade. They've got Xiyang.
Look onto Xiyang. He's pulled into the unraveled earth. Doesn't have the cast just yet. The arrow goes through.
AmazingJ.
AmazingJ dives in and kills Smlz before turning to finish off the turret. He's got to respect its damage as it ramps up, though. And with Jinjao just behind him, IMA take down that turret. And AmazingJ nets his 500th kill.
Fantastic stuff again from IMA. Not only is it 500 kills to AmazingJ, but he does it 1v4 underneath the turret. So a little bit more stylish. The top laner of IMA, and again with that goes the turret, goes another gold lead over to them as a whole team. There is nothing that looks like OMG can do to stop them.
Yeah, they find themselves now down 6,000 gold. They finally were able to get one kill in this game, but with that tier 2 broken and IMA continuing to just out-trade OMG better and better, they're in the driver's seat here in game number 2. And again, this is the 4th place seed. This is the team that just barely made it into playoffs. This is the team that barely took Worlds away from WE. I know you hate it, Rusty, but this team is one heck of a Cinderella story.
I just hate that everyone references the WE set like it's relevant against OMG, Dom. No, I understand.
Yeah, I think it's relevant in that we can't count them out.
I still wouldn't call them Cinderella. Cinderella. I'd call it a miracle run if they are able to do it again.
Sure. Well, they're looking good so far as World 6 gets pulled in, trying to follow the Sonic Wave as that flopping fish zones away the rest of OMG. They do survive as that skirmish over Raptors resets and vision is cleared out by the Baron. Past the 20-minute mark with that tier 2 now broken. This is a very easy vision setup from the rest of IMA as they continue to push in and clear out the wards of OMG.
And both OMG and IMA are considerably underdogs compared to, you know, the rest of the LPL itself. The winner of this set plays against one of the actual gods of the league. These two are fighting, scrapping it out to try and get to fight the god in the semi-finals.
They're now tagging onto Ben4. Great Lantern. Road, excellent presence of mind to keep his jungler alive.
The second Lantern that actually saves somebody's life inside the jungle of OMG. So Road always at the right place at the right time. Almost killed World 6 by following the Lantern before. This setup, now the vision is starting to go down. Yes, it was a little bit hard fought over, and they almost died a couple of times from it, but they're actually set up right now. So recalls, get some health, maybe establish a little bit extra in the way of vision, and then try and set up, not just for the Baron, but for the Infernal Drake in 30 seconds simultaneously. Ben4's placing vision over at this side whilst Rhodes at the Baron, so they have all of the means.
Now they are getting closer and closer to the ends. Good staggered recalls. Support went first, then all the carries, now the jungler. They're fully topped off. Runan's finished for Jinjao. We're seeing the Morellos and Rylai's, plus another blasting one from Athena with all those stats. And just aggroing the Baron to get him to get a few hits on the World 6. He's got no flash, and World 6 has got nowhere to go. That jungler is dead. And with Ben4 racing towards that side of the map and 30 seconds on the clock, this is a window for Aimee.
He was relying on the fact that he was Elise in to try and keep himself alive, but aggroing the Baron was the clever decision out of Road. Also has the Ignite available, and good communication, honestly, out of Aimee, because AmazingJ had Ignite. He didn't use it. They acknowledged that only one person was igniting. They weren't going to stack him up and make a mistake.
They decided to take the safe reward on the backside of it. Nothing risky as Infernal Dragon is cleaned up from Aimee. AmazingJ has to respect the Cassiopeia. He's got Spirit Visage.
What's interesting, though, is that Ben4 was also trying to gank Xiyang, and still is.
Was trying to, or is trying to. He's finishing off Gromp right now. Athena's right there. Cass was completely ineffective from Xiyang, and he clears out this ward.
He graduated from brewing school, so he throws his cask up in the air.
Hey!
Fortunately, nothing happens from it, so he just uses his ultimate. Ben4 cocooned him and walked away. I feel like that's actually just pressuring the bottom side of the map still. Jungler deciding Baron's not a risk we're going to take. Blue buff more important for Athena. Athena also split pushing without teleport on the opposite side of the map to the major objective, so he'd take a little bit of time to actually get there. Still, however, putting Athena bottom, he can't rotate like a teleport can out of Xiyang. It's curious stuff from Aimee, especially with AmazingJ top lane, and their lane assignments being that the melee Fizz goes against the Cassiopeia, who has magic resistance.
Yeah, he's pushing a lot of these minions into that top tier 1, trying to get the minions
to
break
top.
it down.
That's got to be the goal.
Yeah, but as you can see, the rotation from Road and Jinjao is
No, this
spotted.
is still good. They have Athena.
Yeah, he's finally grouped up with his team, gets some damage onto World 6. Just pushing him away. Smlz holds on to these minions, and that's recall now finished from AmazingJ. He's heading bottom to deal with Xiyang. So the slow play is just to get some chip damage onto that before resetting for more vision as Ben4 and Road group up with Jinjao.
But it took them a little bit of time, and they've actually set up the lane assignments. They mentioned Taliyah doesn't want to be against the Gragas. They want to have teleports bottom. Well, they finally put Athena top lane and see what happens immediately when they have that happen. There we go.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Someone who has ranged auto attack just finishes it off. And now they get to press their vision that much further, Road.
Oof.
I like the idea.
They stopped moving for no reason.
Yeah. They're still sitting just inside of that brush. Road eats a Sonic Wave. Ben4 and Jinjao are there to help him out. They've got a lot of damage. Athena will recall and finish off a Void Staff. Xiyang over the wall, repel to dodge it, and then a quick Dark Passage.
Arrows on Road.
Eats the arrow. Cask separates Athena. Jinjao gets kicked into the Baron Pit, but he's fine. World 6 dies in the back line as AmazingJ has joined the fight. He's caught Smlz despite flashing over the wall.
Oh, no!
AmazingJ misses it. Weaver's wall has limited the escape, and Athena kind of pins himself onto the wrong side of it. But they do get the kill.
A conglomerate of mistakes, unfortunately. Icon, he wants it.
He really wants Road. The hook misses, and he's burning down, and he's saved by the heal. AmazingJ's in the back, and Icon gives his life over to greed itself. Ben4, Athena, and AmazingJ collapse and get another kill onto Smlz as 5 flashes the turret. 5 members of Aimee are alive.
This is like the LPL's version of Nikki Taylor's song, When Mistakes Collide. Unfortunately, OMG are making more of them. And Aimee going to get a Baron.
Yeah, they certainly are rushing onto it right now. Xiyang and 5 are there. They've got Smite available on that Elise. He's trying to finish it off. He's killed Athena. That's Baron finished. They turn onto Xiyang. He's so tanky, but they've got so much damage. He makes it over the wall. Road about to line up the hook. A cask is not enough to finish it off. Repel gets Ben4 over the wall. They finally managed to kill him as the rest of Aimee make for the hills. And Ben4 is saying, Dark Passage, Lantern. Oh, and the hook onto World 6. The Sonic Wave is still able to follow through. He managed to get that follow-up kill as Jinjao zones the rest of the way.
World 6 is...
AmazingJ is there as well. And a kick as he dashes through.
Stop fighting! I want to talk!
They've already got the Baron.
They managed to kill 2 people, almost 3, from having the Baron buff. So OMG make that work for them. Unfortunately, all of this fighting doesn't mean anything for either of these teams. What matters is right now. And right now, there is a 9,000 gold lead to Aimee. They have the Baron buff actually set up for themselves. They have all of the makings to end this game, or at least break the base of OMG. But OMG are the kind of team that will pretty much do what Aimee does from a deficit, and that is fight you.
Yeah.
And so they will have to win a fight for this. Their team composition, hard to execute. from the side of IMA. They need to hit the skill shots.
I mean, we saw Icon aggressively flash over the red wall to get a stun on, or not even a stun, excuse me, the Miasma Noxious Blast
already
onto Road. Icon is supposed to be the concrete sort of center for OMG. He has to keep his team together. We saw how emotional he was in game number 1. If he allows us to affect him here in game number 2, that could be terrible.
He like made the confident play and flashed over the wall to make the play and just didn't ult. He just flashed.
He already used it in the earlier engage.
No, he ulted after 100%.
Oh, that's right, he did. Yeah. We gotta wonder what's going through OMG's mind right now. They're actually not responding to mid lane as they all rush towards mid. Excuse me, top is the turret that goes down, and 3 members continue pushing with Baron. Finally, Xiyang is responding, but they've already lost the turret, and this is a large minion wave.
Currently relying on an engage. Once again, OMG, they have the Ashe arrow, but it's hard to hit. Everybody able to cleanse out of it. Xiyang can hit the kegs, but they haven't been aligning just yet.
Athena lines up the Weaver's Wall, sets them all off the back. The cast goes down, but AmazingJ tanking is more than enough. The hook misses, and Xiyang makes his way over the wall. But as you said, the inhib turret has already fallen. This is IMA breaking the base of OMG. Redemption to top themselves off. Icon walks up and walks back.
Icon just playing them for the fools. Again, he has the cleanse, so if Thresh turns around to hook him, he can cleanse out of the hook, turn on the ultimate. Nobody's really going to be ready for it. There are options here for OMG, but those options are limited. IMA just brute forcing.
Yeah, they're continuing to go back and forth with these waves, playing with the minions. Cocoon lands, arrow finds Jinjao, he instantly cleanses, turns around to the Smlz. World 6 is in the back for a kick, but there's no follow-up. Icon is trying to do damage, but this is IMA winning the fight wholeheartedly, and it's a triple kill for Jinjao as they destroy the base, turn on to the Nexus turrets, and 30 minutes in, they take game number 2. IMA, the underdogs, are 1 win away from moving on to the semifinals.
The only thing going through OMG's minds right now are brooms, as they're about to get swept away by IMA. That was a pretty clean victory, unfortunately, for IMA. The only reason it was clean from IMA is because the messiness came from OMG.
Yeah.
And IMA spent the whole time wondering why they were being fought and cleaning it up.
Absolutely. Perhaps they should be thinking of brooms because OMG really need to clean up their play. This is not what we expect from the team that got 2nd place in Group A. We finally started to see some good signs from them towards the end of the split with that growth, but just look at how smooth that curve is from IMA. They took step by step by step to make their way towards the Nexus and close it out, and OMG were they just weren't on the same page.
Yeah, unfortunately the game 1 that never happened does feel like it's actually affected OMG's mentality just a little bit. Perhaps if they did win game 1, things would be different, but this is a very simple 2-0 to be seen from IMA that started through the draft phase, where we do really have to highlight the fact that Road got Thresh again. They actually still gave the Fizz over this time to AmazingJ on the blue side, and even with IMA adapting through the ban phase, getting rid of the Cogmore, and then picking the Fizz away from Xiyang, you have to wonder what OMG were thinking.
Yeah, nobody knows but them, and they have got to reset. I mean, we're about to go into what very well could be the set match, and it seems like we might see IMA, 4th place seed from Group A, go 3-0 over OMG after going 3-1 against Chaogu. This team, you cannot count them out. You cannot disrespect them. And with how they've been playing so far in playoffs, they are making a serious name for themselves.
Yeah, they picked up some momentum. They're definitely using that momentum to try and get themselves into a much better position throughout the LPL. A team that was happy with just not getting relegated have now found themselves at the forefront, potentially in the semifinals. They're 1 game away from it.
Yeah.
And it all started with game number 1 actually happening
The original
twice.
game number 1, yeah. And it looked so dire. Again, in that game number 1, they were down a few kills. Jinjao was set so far behind. Ben 4 was effectively useless. Athena was getting ganked. It just did not look good. But then after the pause and the reset and the remake, we see a brand new, fresh IMA coming into game number 1, the remake.
And mostly game number 2 as well, because this game definitely wasn't the best that we've seen from IMA by any means. It was nowhere near the best that we've seen from OMG. It's super messy between both of these teams and how they're interacting, but one of them had the better goal. They had the long-term vision throughout the game. IMA, they had the win conditions, they were setting up for the win conditions, and they were then executing on more than one thing at once. The Infernal Drake after a pick, not just going for the Baron, actually playing it slowly and going for outer turrets. They wanted to increase their team's gold lead, before they make the plays.
Yeah.
They're a pick composition, and forcing a Baron force is a team fight against the team fighting composition. So again, playing to their strengths, acknowledging how they should be winning on Summoner's Rift.
And this is something we have to raise a question for OMG. We know they often have short-term plans that usually yield good results, sort of gank bottom, get Smlz ahead, let World 6 sort of go for the crazy outplays on Lee Sin, but it's the execution. Well, now it seems like they hardly have any plans whatsoever. I mean, we saw World 6 moving around the map. Icon didn't get a second recall until 14 minutes into the game. He bought Abyssal Scepter straight up. And you've got to really wonder, OMG, can they pull themselves together for Game 3?
So to me, it is mostly World 6 as the problem point for them. And like the first thing that you can cast your mind back to was like the level 3 fight he had with Elise. Saw the Elise, didn't do anything, and then got bopped.
And you can see it's Ben 4 off the back of that advantage.
I'm good at this.
Who gets MVP?
That was accidentally a setup to the MVP. There you go, Ben 4. Honestly, this is a standout performance from him, someone that throughout the split has got incrementally better as time goes on. He looks like he is potentially, right now as it stands, the best jungler out of both Flawless and himself, which is no small feat, honestly. This is one of the examples of it where, again, Road predicting one of the best hooks ever, but Ben 4 is always there. Remember the dive that happened 3-4 minutes before this was a lantern into the Elise cocoon, just constantly happening. Everything that Aimee wanted to do was more than one places on the map at the same time, but also more than one strategy being implemented.
And we're seeing Aimee really show us something new in that it's not just a hyper carry bottom lane, which is the same strategy they ran 4 games. I say hyper carry, I caveat one of them was a Caitlyn with Karma. But playing towards Jinjao in the bottom, they still focused him, but as you said, they were morely playing around the picks that Ben 4 and Road could set up and letting the rest of the team sort of reap those rewards.
And this actually is like, yes, they're focusing Jinjao, but I still feel like, a part of me feels like they're focusing Road. And Road and Ben 4 are working as a duo so incredibly well, and that's why.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked out for them in the first 2 games. We'll find out if it works for them in game